Like the rest of you, I'm getting older and older every single day, unless you're a cyborg. But sadly, I'm not. And looking back at my early 20s and teenage years, I probably would have kicked myself in the head for some of the things I did or didn't do. And probably like you, if I knew some of the things that I know today, I probably would be a whole different person. In most cases, I probably would have been more proactive about certain things and avoided other things as well. After taking lots of notes, I decided, why not make a video about it? Because just taking notes on these things over the last few months helped me solidify all this information, and I realized it could help some of you guys as well. So today, I wanted to share not only my personal advice and things I knew, but also some of the business things as well. This can apply to anybody in their teens all the way up until 30 years old. Since life is not linear, this might even apply to you even if you're not in that age group. I believe that some of these tips will help you, just like they've helped me, set you up for success in the long run. Let's first start with the business advice. Number one is to network and build relationships with people in your industry. These people could be really good resources for advice or opportunities. And honestly, your high school friends or even acquaintances, keep up with them because you never know who's gonna end up where. But I do have to mention this, don't do it with ill intent or to push yourself up the corporate ladder. If you do plan to keep up with people, do it with good intent. Have the intention of just being a good friend and being there when people need you. Put yourself in their shoes and imagine what you would want to hear from somebody else and do just that. Number two is to be proactive about seeking out opportunities for growth and development. Don't just sit around and wait for opportunities to come to you because they're not coming. Go out there and create them yourself. And this one really hits home for me. In my teenage years, I was working in fast food restaurants or service-based industries. And the moment that I chose to change that and look for opportunities is the same moment that I got out of those environments and my life started to change for the better. Advice number three is learn to negotiate and advocate for yourself. As you go through life, it's important to be able to understand your self-worth and to be able to communicate what you're worth to others, which is why I always say if you don't know what your value is, go out there and find it. I highly recommend going into industries like sales, customer service, marketing, just for a few years of your life to really understand who you are, what you like to do, and what you don't like to do. And those type of jobs will help you build value in the marketplace. And more importantly, will allow you to actually sell yourself in certain situations. And lesson number four is to take calculated risks. Don't be afraid to try new things and make sure to do the research of the potential consequences you might face by making these decisions, because people always talk about like taking risks, but they forget about the calculated part. I mean, I took a lot of risks in my own life, some calculated and some not. And the ones that were calculated were the ones that paid off. And the ones that were just simple risks thrown in the wind, those ones didn't. And the fifth piece of advice in business that I can give you is to stay up to date on latest trends in your industry. This will greatly help you stay competitive and position you as an expert in your field. If you don't have an industry picked out and maybe you're just getting started in the workforce, just look at the industries that are trending right now and pick a few of those to try out. Some of my personal favorite up and coming industries are cybersecurity, gaming, coding, filmmaking, design, business development, and sales. Those also might be some of the more difficult ones to automate, but again, take that with a word of caution because who knows what AI and robotics will do. But just know that the easier it is to automate a particular industry, the easier it is for you to be out of a job. This also can apply to investing because the more that a business gets automated, the cheaper the labor costs are, and usually that means more profits for the companies and in turn means more profits for the investors. This is the biggest trend to watch in the 21st century, at least in my opinion, because technology is only advancing faster and faster. And the companies that are using technology to boost their business results, those are also probably the ones that are gonna hit absurd valuations in the short run. Now, let's talk about some of the personal advice as well. First, focus on personal development. That means taking the time to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and most importantly, your goals. This will not only only help you grow as an individual and be a little more introspective, but it may even help you make better informed decisions about your career or your life. I highly recommend taking a personality test every year or so. If you want to know my recommendation, 16 Personalities is a website that I like to use. And also, on top of all this, journal about your days, especially the ones that made you really happy or the ones that made you a little bit frustrated. Don't be afraid to write those emotions down, because later on in life, you wish you would have, so that way you could read back on some of those memories and what made you the way you are. I think that might be a crucial step to designing your perfect life. And to be honest, I wish someone had told me that earlier in life, because I'm sure there are plenty of memories that I completely forgot about that I wouldn't have if I had written them down. And lesson number 2 is don't be afraid asking for help. Personally, I wanted to do everything myself. I thought to become a good entrepreneur, I gotta be at the helm doing absolutely everything. But as I've been getting older, I've realized that it's okay to ask for guidance or support from others, especially in the times when you actually need it. And even to this day, I kind of struggle with this sometimes. The main reason is because when I was growing up, it wasn't really an option to ask for help. Since I had a single parent mother that was working all the time and no real family here in the States, I just kind of grew up doing everything on my own. But as I grow older, just like me, other people get fulfillment by helping others. And of course, some people will abuse this, but remember that there is a fine line between asking for help all the time and enabling yourself to become a weak individual and not asking enough. So while you're young, find that line. Definitely do not abuse your relationships. And the best way to make sure that you don't do that is always give more than you receive. Number 3 is to be proactive when managing your finances. Create a budget, save for the future, and make smart financial decisions. But most important of all, invest, invest, invest. And I get it, maybe you've never invested in your life, but neither has anyone else until they did. And it's really not that difficult. Every dollar that you spend on your education and investment into the future could be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars back in your pocket at a later date. And when you learn good money habits and how to invest in yourself properly, you by nature become proactive about getting your life in order in other areas. So remember that money is a great motivator, and that's why you should get your money right as soon as possible. Number 4 is to take care of your physical and mental health. And no, I'm not saying to take a bunch of drugs that your pharmacy gives you. No, of course, unless you need it. And for most people, all you need to do is get regular exercise, make sure it's high intensity, get enough sleep, and get quality sleep. And of course, remember to practice good self-care habits. For me, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at a young age. It's definitely been a big change and been pretty tough every day since, but it was a huge wake-up call on how I should treat my body better, and I've definitely made improvements over the years because of it. So if you're healthy now, make sure to keep yourself healthy by practicing these habits, so that way you never have some chronic ailment come up at a later date, which is why you should always take care of your body, because you only get one.
Was that Eminem? Yes.
And lesson number 5 is to cultivate a positive charge. This one's important, but it might sound a little tricky. I'll try to explain it as best I can. I'm sure you've heard a positive mindset can help you stay motivated and handle challenges more efficiently. And this kind of goes back to like 5th grade science class when I started learning about subatomic particles and how they could have a positive or a negative or even a neutral charge. And more recently in life, I realized that that can actually be applied to like everyday situations. Here's what I mean. If you surround yourself with positive atoms, right? People or environments that are positively charged, you end up more likely becoming a proton or positively charged as well. And this doesn't just mean on the external side, this also can mean internally, how you speak to yourself, what you believe in, are you confident in your capabilities? All those things can impact whether you become a positively charged person or negatively charged. And of course, there are some neutral environments that are not bad or good, but the worst one of all is being an electron, aka being negatively charged all the time, both internally and externally to others. These electron thoughts and people and environments can bring you down to a negative charge as well. And over time, no matter how positive you might see the world, if you just hang around negative people all the time, you'll start to become neutral, and then eventually you'll become negative as well. I even had a really close friend that was more of a neutral type person, and he just hung out with the wrong people and eventually became an electron too. So in all reality, don't be a neutron, don't be an electron, try to be a proton. And as often as possible, treat your body with respect, kindness, and others with that same respect and kindness also. Remember that your 20s and your 30s are time for growth, development, both personally and professionally, and you should use this time to build good habits and set yourself up for success for the future. Try to make the most out of every opportunity, both good and bad, and do everything in your power, no matter how gloomy it may seem, to choose positivity and become better. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, go check out this video next. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy it as well. Peace out.